Anybody wants to say anything about sales negotiation? Anybody yet? Or now that I'm sharing my screen, we can go on. Okay, so the agenda for this evening is basically knowing the importance of sales negotiation, understanding the customer, which is also very important because you have to know your audience or know who you're selling to. You always have to make sure you set objectives, make proper preparation and planning, because you can't just go into a meeting and not prepare for what you're going to do. You would fumble and people would know that it's either you're not serious or you don't know what you're about. We'll also learn how to build rapport and effectively communicate. We'll consider how to create an environment that allows a win-win situation, how to overcome objections, and how to close deals. After which, we'll probably do some case studies. If anybody has any examples they would want us to practice, or if there's time, we can do some role plays. So let's get into it. Anybody with an idea of what sales negotiation is and why it is important? Okay, so I would usually like to make my class very interesting. So this is what we'll do. I don't know the caliber of people I am dealing with, but once you make an attempt to answer a question correctly, you can just put your phone number in the comment section and we'll see what the Lord will do for you. I'm hoping that this will let a lot of you talk. So let's just go ahead. Sorry. Okay, sorry about what's happening. So sales negotiation is basically how one navigates his way through the art of selling to a prospective client. You'd always have to know who you're selling to. I mean, without the knowledge of who you're selling to, then obviously you might either be talking to the wrong person or giving the wrong information to the right person. So at all times, you have to understand who you're selling to and what you're selling. If you don't have this two information, then it's like just pouring water on a stone. The knowledge of your products is not enough to sell, but understanding who you're selling to is what opens the chance to make a sale. Because if who you're selling to is not a prospective client, then you would have wasted your time and energy and would end up wasting that of the client too if they're not interested in the product or the service you want to offer. Why it is important to master this skill is that it is not everybody who would give an audience to a sales rep. And if you don't master it, human beings have a way of creating a defensive system once they notice that you're about to sell to them. So sometimes, in as much as you want to make a sale, you want to appear differently in their eyes. And when they let their guard down, then you can kick in. If I am allowed to use an example, it's just like if the guys are there, it's just like going to ask a lady out. You don't just go with the intention of making them know what you present yourself in a different and make your intentions clear. The third question is, the sales skills, negotiation skills important to an organization? Obviously it is. I mean, then why would we create the organization if we don't want to sell? You can sell anything. You can sell your idea, you can sell your service, you can sell a product. So at all times, you have to make sure you have a pool of people who have the skill or the art of sales negotiation. The fact that you can sell doesn't mean that you can negotiate. Or you may sell an idea to me, but in our interactions, if I realize that you are just block-minded, you're not open for discussion, all you want to do is close the deal, get your money, and leave me, I am likely not to even engage you or interact with you. Okay, are we clear up to this stage? Is there anybody who would want to add or ask a question? Anybody there?
No, please.
Okay, let's go on. So, sales negotiation, as said earlier, plays a crucial role in the success of any business. I mean, any business at all, whether it's a small business, it's a starter, it's an ongoing business, or it's at its peak, there is still some amount of sales negotiation in there. Regardless of where your organization has reached at all times, I mean, you created the organization to solve problems, and in solving problems, you get revenue. So you don't see that where we have reached, we have stopped solving problems. If you stop solving problems, it's just like saying after iPhone 14, there won't be another version of the iPhones. iPhone is doing extremely well now, but they are still creating platforms to sell more products. So no matter the level of your business, you still want to make sure that you improve, sell more, and get more revenue. It is a strategic process that allows sales professionals to navigate the complex dynamics of reaching agreements with customers or clients. Having this skill is very important to every organization. Once you set the organization up, the whole intent of the organization is to solve a problem. It's just like SINOP. I'm not sure they sat down and decided to create a company because everybody was doing one. They identified problems in the society and created an organization that will solve the problem. Now, to make a sale from or by SINOP, they would have to identify who they are selling to. Else, they can just assume that, okay, there's this problem, we've created an organization, those who the problems will come running to us, and we would get the needed revenue, and that would be all. We won't have to employ anybody, we wouldn't have to employ HR, operations. It will just be a one-man's job, and the job will thrive. But that is not the motive behind solving problems. In as much as people may have individual problems, when you identify it and you have the solution to it, you go out to let them understand how you can help them solve their problem. So basically, that's the importance of it. It also allows you, solving a problem is like waving yourself through a maze. I don't know how best I can describe a maze, but it is usually a design which has a lot of blockades, but if carefully navigated through, you find your way from the beginning to the end. So this basically means that in as much as you may be a good salesperson, if you meet a client, you're supposed to go through certain steps to assist them understand the reason why your service or product will best solve their problem. Because mind you, you may not be the only person providing that service or selling that product. There are other companies or institutions who might probably do the same thing and even do it better. Most of the times when you're selling to people, you have to assume the position of feeding their greed or feeding their ego. Nobody would want their ego to be bruised. So if you let the person understand that you understand them, then having a conversation with a client or customer opens up for a lot of questions and clarity. Because if there's no compromise, you would struggle to close a deal. If you don't collaborate with a client, then you just sit, talk. When you're done, they'll tell you they'll get back to you, and nobody would ever get back to you because you don't open up for discussion. So at all times, you have to make sure that what you're going to do, you must carefully prepare for it so that if you meet a blockade, you know whether to go back and start or to build up upon where you have reached. Okay, are we clear up to this stage? Any questions? Any questions, please? Okay, so these are some of the importance why this negotiation skill, some of the reasons why this negotiation skill is important. So it helps you maximize value. It creates a win-win outcome because at the end of the day, the customer is supposed to benefit from the product you're selling, and you're also supposed to benefit from the solution you have offered to the client. It brings coordinator, can you please mute? Unless McCaffrey has a question to ask. Can you please mute McCaffrey for us? Thank you. Okay, the skill is also important because it helps you solve problems. Okay, you'd see that when you close a deal, there's some amount of joy that comes to you because at the end of the day, the smile you bring to a customer has ripple effects. It can turn the customer to a loyal customer. It can turn the customer to one who would refer other customers to you. So at all times, you want to make sure that what you're going to do will solve a problem. It has to be a target. You have to draw a target for yourself. That's okay. By the time I'll be closing this deal, I should make sure that I have really satisfied the customer. It helps you build relationships as well. Okay. Now, when relationships are built, you would get to notice that the discussion is likely to move from your sale after you've closed it to other benefits the clients can get from you or other advice they may want in other fields of their company. This also brings profitability. As said earlier, nobody will create an organization and want to make profit. So these are a few importance of negotiation skills. Now we are going to look at practical steps in building your skills. Okay. If you are selling, when we started, I was telling you about how you need to understand who you're selling to. I want to use a product, for example, to make a sale. So let's say you're selling an Apple product. If you're selling an Apple product, you may obviously want to identify the community or the environment in which you would want to sell the product to. Because if you enter into a rural area, even though a person would want to buy your product, will they be able to use it to its full capacity? because the area you may be selling in would not have network, which will mean that you might have just left a white elephant in an area where nobody would need. So at all times, you need to understand the customer you're selling to. And most of the time, as human as we are, because we want to get the returns and leave, we fail to understand the customers and we run our mouths. You have to be open for conversations, because once you're open for conversations, you get to understand the customer more. Every customer and their uniqueness. Some will give you a unique story. Others would want to buy the product based on their needs. People would also want to buy your product based on their desires. They might probably not need it, but they just desire to have it. Others would also want to purchase it because of their aspirations. So at all times, you want to understand who you're selling to and consider what you're selling. If you find yourself in an organization that deals in different line of products, you're always careful to make sure that you don't lump it up to the customer, because they might probably not need everything you're selling. So at all times, you want to make sure that, okay, this is the area I'm going to, and this area, these are the caliber of people there, or this is the organization I want to visit. In this organization, these are the caliber of people there. So I want to go and sell this particular product. If that product doesn't sell and there's a substitute for that, then you advise them on it. So at all times, you have to be open for conversation, understand your customers, so you can listen to their unique stories or know their needs, their desires and aspirations. Then you can sell to them. Sorry. You always want to make sure that you set clear objectives. You cannot enter into a sale room or a meeting room and don't know what you're about. Okay. At all times, if need be, it is only when you have practiced over a period of time and you think you're a master at what you do that you may say that, okay, I have done it over a period of time, so I don't need to set objectives. But at all times, I would advise that you set up objectives, because it would allow you to do what you want to do in a very neat way. Customers always want the best of services. So if you're going to sell and instead of setting objectives, you decide to go there with your 10 fingers, you realize that you may end up saying things you were supposed to say at the time you're supposed to be closing the deal at the beginning. If you don't set objectives, you will not know where to put what. So there has to be clear-cut objectives before you enter into any meeting or any group of people you are pitching a sale to. Okay, anybody has any question? The class is too quiet. Any questions, please? Okay, so let's go ahead. You would also want to make sure that you're well prepared before you get to your destination. I mean, you can clearly see what Benjamin Franklin said, that by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. And this is one thing you don't want to do in any sale meeting. You just don't want to get into a group of people and look unprepared. You lose your chance once and for all. You always have to take into consideration that first appearance counts a lot. And at all times, you also have to bear in mind that you're a representation or a representative of your organization. So if you don't put yourself together, if you don't plan, if you don't prepare well, then you won't be able to perform. And once you're not able to perform, The client is not looking at you, the individual, as a failure, but would consider the organization that sent you to them as being unserious. And from where I come from, once you portray that, you're likely to go home. Learn and prepare, learn and prepare, learn and prepare. At all times, make sure that you've taken your time to go through what you're going to pitch. I am not doing this off my head. I prepared before coming to deliver this. I have gone through my slides. I have taken my time to carefully put it down. I am selling what is in my mind to you. So I am making sure that I know where to move, which point to start, and where to end. I will not start from B and jump to A, or start from D and jump to J. There's a clear-cut table I have done. That's how come you would see that the presentation has a session it follows. So at all times, you want to make sure that you are well prepared before you get into any sale meeting. In as much as you know how to sell, in as much as you know how to navigate or negotiate well, if you're not prepared, you can be taken by surprise. And once that happens, you'd struggle a lot. It's just like getting into an interview room and not being prepared. You might be fully qualified because your certificate and your CV might prove that, oh, this person qualifies for the position they are applying for or vying for. Now, if you enter into a room to be vetted for a position, in as much as your qualification and your CV will be considered, it is what you have in your head, how you respond to questions, how you navigate and handle yourself before the panel will determine whether or not you're eligible for the position. So at all times, you want to make sure that you're well prepared, you know what you're going to deliver, and you know how you're going to deliver it. Not having any idea of the product you are going to sell or the service you are going to render is a non-starter. At any point in time, if you get the opportunity to sell and you realize that you are not well prepared, in as much as you would cost your organization the profit that will come, it would always be better to reschedule and be well prepared. You are highly likely to lose that opportunity because in that moment, the client would probably be needing your service or product urgently. So if you're not prepared and you want to go and prepare before you come, you might lose that client. So at all times, you will have to make sure that you're well prepared before you meet the team, the client, or the customers you're going to sell to. Okay? Now, here are some key pointers to planning and preparation. We have already discussed setting the objectives. You'd also have to consider identifying the key participants, which is the people you're going to meet. You would always have to bear in mind that at every organization, dependent on what you're going to sell, there are key people they may present to you to have them buy into your idea. Because if I am going to sell toiletries, I wouldn't be expecting to meet the CEO. You might probably meet a different set of people, which might include the janitor, the HR, or somebody else. So at all times, you want to also identify the people you are likely to meet when setting your objectives. You have to develop an agenda. This helps you to handle the conversation. It gives you the opportunity to steer it in the way and manner in which you want. So if you develop an agenda, you can even make suggestions that, okay, this is how the meeting is going to take shape. Maybe after 3-4 presentations, I may leave room for questions. So if you have questions, and make sure that you say it politely, because you're going to sell to make money. You don't go there and raise your chest and act as if you don't need them, they need you. There are other organizations that are probably selling the same services or providing the same products you have. So in all times, you have to be polite in presenting what you have on your mind to them. Gather and organize relevant information. It is always good to know the organization you're going to sell to. You can't just have knowledge on your product and not know the organization you're going to sell to. You have to make in-depth information gathering. You have to conduct research and also make analysis.